My top priority has always been our social mission of connecting people, building community, and bringing the world closer together. Advertisers and developers will never take priority over that as long as I'm running Facebook. I started Facebook when I was in college. We've come a long way since then. We now serve more than 2 billion people around the world, and every day, people use our services to stay connected with the people that matter to them most. I believe deeply in what we're doing, and I know that when we address these challenges, we'll look back and view helping people connect and giving more people a voice as a positive force in the world. I realize the issues we're talking about today aren't just issues for Facebook and our community, they're issues and challenges for all of us as Americans.
In the past 20 years, you've seen the explosion of technology worldwide and the integration of it into our society and daily lives. Now, taking a small detour, how many of you use Facebook, say, monthly, weekly, daily even? That's what I figured. And I would assume that many of you use Facebook to connect with your family, friends, maybe keep up with community events, or even follow business movements. But I would also assume that as of recently, many of you have turned online for your news. Any sort of online media from a plethora of news outlets, or maybe an opinion piece from someone of status in your community. And you wouldn't be alone, as Facebook has around 1.8 billion daily active users and around 2.7 billion monthly active users. To put this in perspective, the world has around 4.4 billion internet users. So what this means is that around 40% of the world's internet users use Facebook daily. Now, what this means is that Facebook has an unparalleled user base and an unmatched spread across the globe, solidifying itself as the largest social media platform to date. However, I'm sure that you've noticed a wave of disinformation that comes with this shift to online media. And these companies, these social media platforms, notice this as well. And in order to counteract this, they've used something called censorship. Now, censorship is defined as the suppression of any form of media that is considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security. In this case, Facebook has shown that they are completely incapable of controlling this powerful tool that is censorship. Hello, my name is Lassiter, and today I will be explaining to you how Facebook's current use of censorship is a threat to our society and democracy as we know it. I would like to thank my panelist, Mr. Gene Kovacs, the Chief Information Officer of the State University System of Florida, for being here today. Now, Facebook, you know, is the world's largest social media site, founded in 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg in his Harvard dorm room. It's grown exponentially over the years, and in its founding, it pledged a mission statement to its users. In this mission statement, they promised to strive to give power to the people, to build community, and to bring the world closer together. Although, as of recently, they've shown that they cannot handle this promise, and in turn, these benefits of this promise have gone downhill drastically. Although, in Facebook's early years, they showed that they could actually positively fulfill this mission statement. The prime example is the Kulena Khaled Said movement in the Arab Springs region in Egypt. It began in 2010 when Wael Ghonim, a Google marketing executive, was browsing Facebook one day when he came across the broken, battered image of a young Egyptian man, Khaled Said, who had been beaten to death by 2 Egyptian police officers outside of a cafe. This image outraged Ghonim, who felt that it was a personal attack on his countrymen, his kin. It prompted Ghonim to join an anonymously created Facebook page that was aptly named Kulena Khaled Said, which means we are all Khaled Said. With Ghanim's status in the area, this page gained hundreds of thousands of followers in mere days. And over the following months, sparked uprisings all across the Arab Springs region, and eventually, in 2011, led to the stepping down of the Egyptian president, Hosni Mubarak, and the dissolution of the Egyptian Democratic Party. Now, what does this have to do with Facebook? Almost everything. This movement was built on Facebook. Facebook provided a platform for these people to gather, to plan protests, to share experiences. It provided a beneficial space for them to throw off a system of oppression. They were able to fulfill their mission statement to these people and thus make their lives better. Although, as of recently, they haven't been able to do this for the rest of the world. In 2017, the Myanmarian government began a racial and ethnic cleansing of the Rohingya Muslims in the country and surrounding area. The way they did this was to create fake Facebook pages and even buy out popular pages of Myanmarian celebrities and steadily start spewing out anti-Muslim sentiment in order to turn the people of the area against the Muslims. This has resulted in what the UN calls the worst refugee crisis in history, with over 25,000 deaths estimated to be caused by the Myanmarian clearance operations, along with the over 700,000 who have fled the area. Now, where was Facebook? Nowhere. They provided a place for this hatred to be targeted on one group of people, and their use of censorship was incapable to stop it. They have showed that they cannot handle their platform efficiently or for the betterment of their users. Although, another facet to this problem of censorship is whether Facebook is or isn't labeled as a platform. You see, a platform is defined as a digital service that facilitates interactions between two or more distinct but interdependent users who access this service via the internet. A publisher is defined as a person or company who creates, uploads, or edits content on a web page. Now, whichever one Facebook is up to you. But many people are coming to the realization that Facebook is a publisher. But what does this have to do with censorship? In 1996, the US Congress passed an act, the Communications Decency Act, which provided many things for the then growing internet, such as rules against pornography or other obscenities. And as time has gone on, many parts of this act have been repealed or altered, but one section has remained intact up until today. This section is Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, and how it applies to Facebook is fairly simple. It details two protections for online platforms. The first being that Facebook and other social media companies are not responsible for any third-party action taken on their site that may be illegal or any such way. And the second, that Facebook, if it takes upon itself to restrict some material to its users in what Congress calls good faith, then they are not liable to any repercussions. However, with Facebook becoming a publisher, they've thrown off these protections of Section 230 and in reality are liable to any punishment that the US Congress sees fit to enact upon it, as they are no longer a platform and thus protected by these. And then, naturally, many would counter that Facebook is a private company and they have full right to do whatever they want with their company. And to this, I would say, what are you talking about? For while it is true, it is a private company, the fact that they have ruined hundreds of thousands of lives in a mere 10 years, as well as having any action they take have drastic consequences in the real world. It speaks leagues to how this problem of censorship is not merely a game, some sort of simulation. These are real-world events that are happening because of Facebook's use of censorship and thus need to be changed. Kyle Mann, an editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee, states, "You don't feel like you're creating content for your audience to enjoy. You feel like you're writing for a robotic algorithm and praying the audience is allowed to see your content in the first place." Now, he literally operates his platform on Facebook on this and says that it's not really a safe place for people to operate their business any longer, let alone interact with each other. So, what does this mean for Facebook user-wise? They've acted dishonestly and unjustly towards their users. Many witnessed with shock in early January when the sitting US President Donald Trump was banned on every social media site, all for what these networks called incitement of violence. Now, if looked at carefully, these claims can be seen to push a political agenda that many of these companies have taken on through their years. But another thing was shown, that they did this to protect their shareholders, the people who benefited off of how Facebook acts or what they do in the real world with their users. They did this to protect their image, to benefit themselves rather than you, the user, who they were originally created to do things for. And so they require a change in both the legal side and the moral side. Through a biblical view, the solution seems absolute. While there are many facets to this problem that many principles can apply to, the main one that stands out is the right to free speech. In Matthew 18, Jesus says that anyone who causes one of these little ones to sin, it would be better for them a stone tied around their neck and thrown into the sea. But this is not really it. If someone is denied truth, for you, the user, it indirectly aids in the perpetuation of the problem. It's not as big as you may think it is, but for others, it is shown that if Facebook's current use of censorship has not affected you yet, it will. With social media companies' use of censorship, they are in somewhat of a business of controlling your lives. They manipulate your reality. And so, if they do that to you specifically, how will you respond to that? Will you comply? How far will that take you? In Acts 4, Peter and John are arrested and taken before the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin charged them to never speak of Jesus Christ ever again, lest they be arrested or killed. As soon as Peter and John leave, they immediately start preaching and furthering the kingdom of God. What does this mean for you? If Facebook restricts your right to speech, will you follow the Sanhedrin's call? Or will you further the kingdom of God with your actions? And so because of this, I would vehemently urge you to leave Facebook in search of another social media site, or leave social media altogether. For it would U.S. Congress for a change of this problem, for any action to be taken on this problem that is actively ruining your lives and the lives of hundreds of thousands of others across the world. And most of all, I would encourage you to encourage others to do the same, for it's only together that we can truly fight this impending peril. Thank you.